Good afternoon, everyone. Happy spring. This is Gloria, Get the Bag Boss, founder of Get the Bag, where we power up and promote Black women entrepreneurs through access to financial capital, social capital, and business opportunities. Um, and we are excited to have you with us today. We will be discussing, but primarily demoing some tools, artificial intelligence tools, and with the big focus on Chat GPT. You may or may not have heard of it, but we are going to uh, get into it and actually give you some specific pros and cons. We will talk about some of the business use cases and uh, the reason I am saying that tech is the new bag is that we basically need cash or capital, right, to get things done, to complete our projects, to do the things that we need to do to grow our businesses. And often that means that we don't have the time and usually the skill sets to wear all of the hats that we have to wear as business owners. And so technology has really empowered us, I would say, over the last 20 years to be able to do more with less. So I think this is why we're seeing so many more um, people starting businesses, particularly people of color starting businesses, because these resources have been made more available through technology. So, hey, is that Ozma? So we are going to really level up with this use of artificial intelligence and the amazing things that it's able to do, which save us time, right? Because even if you think about the tech resources that we do have, there's still not even enough time to necessarily use those, and you still need to have some level of skill. The more skilled you are, the faster you can go. And then some of them are just still not accessible. So ChatGPT or artificial intelligence has changed the game in good ways, but also potentially negatively disruptive ways. So we'll talk about that today too. So we have joining us today a entrepreneur, Micheal Bussey, who has a lot of experience using technology. He's the founder of MAB Studios, which is a um, data visualization and GIS mapping and creative consultancy. And he's also my son. So I want to be transparent about that. But I've learned a lot from him in terms of how he's just went in there and started using ChatGPT to solve some of his problems that he has as a business owner and create a lot of opportunities for himself. So welcome, Micheal.
Hi, hey, happy to be here. Thanks for the introduction.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about what is chat. We're going to talk about what is Chat GPT, what's in it for me, and then we'll let Micheal introduce himself. So, Micheal, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Micheal Bussey. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I currently live in Chicago. I have a lot of experience with data management and data analysis, specifically spatial data analysis and visualization. So a lot of experience with different utility companies, governments, businesses, doing making maps and analyzing spatial decisions to help people make better informed decisions when they're operating whatever endeavor they have. But also, I'm an artist, and so photographer, filmmaker, and recently I've been doing like some data art, like some creative coding and things along those lines.
Thank you. When you say spatial, can you break that down a little bit for us?
Yeah, so it's just kind of like the knowledge of where. So you might have a table, and for instance, it might have, let's say it's your CRM, your customer relationship management table, and let's say you're trying to decide where you want to put a new store at. And so spatial data is going to add location to each one of those customers and kind of use that location information in tandem with what any other kind of information that you have on those customers to help you make better informed decisions on where that shop is, or where you can be targeting customers, or what kind of customer, where they live, and maybe and start asking why they're living in these specific places.
Cool.
As an example. Yep.
Yeah, I never. Okay, so if you have a retail-based business, or a business where you rely on people to easily access you, that's where one way that you can make some decisions about location.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And it says on here too that you're a foodie. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I love food.
Okay. Thank you.
And so I started making some artisanal and herbally infused chocolate bars, and some different coffee like mixes and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about ChatGPT use cases. But before we do that, can you give us a definition of ChatGPT? What is it? What does it mean? Why is everyone talking about it all of a sudden?
Let's ask ChatGPT what it is.
Okay. Well, let's see. I need to add your screen.
Let me share my screen.
Okay. Getting right into it.
Oh, it's on the wrong screen here.
Let me know when you have it up. I can add it.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Share screen.
So I can't see who the LinkedIn user is. Who is this? I see. I think it might be Ozma, but it's not giving an actual name. It just says LinkedIn user.
Hello, LinkedIn user. So
you ready for me to add it?
Yeah, you can add it.
Okay. All right.
So
can everyone see that? Just let me know.
Drop us a comment if you can. If you can't,
yeah, maybe expand it.
Hello, LinkedIn user. Yeah, introduce yourself. Hey, how's it going? So what is ChatGPT and why is everyone talking about it? Let's ask it itself. So sometimes it's a very popular application.
Yeah, how'd you get here?
Hey,
Vern.
Hey. So yeah, quick kind of intro into how you get there. Pretty simple stuff. Chat.openai.com. OpenAI is the company that has been doing all the research and creating these applications here. And so it's super simple page. You can just go ahead and sign up, continue with Google, or put in your own account, or with a Microsoft account. I already have an account, so I'm already logged in.
Okay.
But yeah, they make it very simple, no extra bells or whistles here.
Yeah, I just logged in with my Google.
Nice. And then you can see I kind of have all of my old chats here.
What does that mean?
So it keeps a record of each one of your conversations that you have with it.
Okay.
And so like I can hop into any one of these sessions, and it remembers the context of that session. So if I was to give it information, it's going to remember all of that information.
Okay.
And then that'll inform each one of its answers to each one of my questions.
So it's kind of like having a team member that you've had some discussions with, and you can go back and pick up on those discussions. But
that's correct.
You have a file of those discussions.
Correct.
Okay,
yep.
Cool.
And then you can start a brand new one. So you asked me, what is ChatGPT? And so I said, hey, let's ask ChatGPT, what is ChatGPT?
So where did you do that? Where did you go to ask?
Right on the bottom here. This is how
Okay.
you type in your first question.
Okay.
Or
And
just,
what's the other term for the questions?
the other term is a prompt.
Okay.
So it's basically how you engage with it, and it's all through text. There are some like new ways where you can upload images and it can interact with those, but we won't necessarily be getting into that today.
Do you think there will ever be like an Alexa version where you could just ask the question without having to type in the prompt? I think you're fading out occasionally. But yeah, so I do think based upon there's been a lot of rapid change with ChatGPT, and recently, just this past week, there were hundreds of tech leaders that asked to slow down the pace of ChatGPT change and development because they're thinking that it might be very dangerous. However, there was a Black scientist that actually Google fired about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, that said that was saying that at that point in time, and that may have been one of the reasons for that. So let's add Michael Bussey back.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think it was my VPN sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was just talking. Did you hear my question? Was do you think that there'll ever be an Alexa version?
Yeah, there already is. Like, they've opened the API to developers, and I've seen people have like whole little avatars, like a penguin there's a bunny that you could talk to.
Okay.
And interact with it and ask it questions, and it's on the back end. It's talking to ChatGPT.
Oh wow! So you can right now actually. Do you need some other interface or something like that?
I don't know. They had, like I said, this is things. There's all kind of tools that programmers have created. Okay.
All right.
And they're in little pockets of the internet.
Okay.
And we'll kind of see as time goes by which ones kind of emerge as popular and have real marketing dollars behind them and real traction.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay.
So here's my prompt here. What is ChatGPT and why is everyone talking about it? Explained simply. There you go.
Okay.
Oh no. So yeah, sometimes it can be a popular application, and you'll see.
So that I think that gives us there's ChatGPT, the free version and the plus. What's the difference?
The free version is open to everybody, and it's slower. It has less updates, and you're subject to a lot more outages when it gets busy and when a lot of people are using it.
Okay.
And the upgraded plus version is so available when demand is low, standard response speed, regular model upgrades. This one has new features, faster response, and it's available even when demand is high. It's $20.
Okay. And that's $20 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it's worth it. There you go.
Okay. So now it's responding to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me zoom in here.
So read it just in case.
So ChatGPT is a large language model developed by OpenAI based on the GPT generative pre-trained transformer architecture. It is designed, you know what? This is a little bit too complicated. I'm going to ask, can you explain this to me as if I was a fifth grader?
Okay. What does it say?
ChatGPT is a super smart robot that can talk to people and answer their questions or have a conversation with them. It can understand what people are saying and respond in a way that makes sense, almost like talking to a real person. A lot of people are excited about ChatGPT because it is really good at talking like a human, which means it could be helpful for things like answering questions, helping with homework, or even just having someone to talk to when you're feeling lonely.
That last part is weird.
Yeah, and so compare that to ChatGPT is a large language model developed by OpenAI based on GPT architecture, designed to understand natural language and generate responses.
Okay.
So right here, we can see how, one, I didn't have to re-ask the question. I just asked for kind of some further clarification. And two, how it can kind of take on different perspectives and really understand what I'm asking it and respond in the same kind of way. But yeah, just to sum it up, you know, it's like a major upgrade from chatbots in that, you know, it really seems to understand what people are asking, and it can come up with some really in-depth responses. And essentially, they've pulled all of this information and text together off of the internet, and the algorithm has just kind of sorted through it all and is able to kind of present intelligence in a way. You know, there's kind of argument on what defines like true artificial intelligence, but it's been very helpful for people in different business situations, as well as kind of being creative and ideation as well. So.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you. That was a good introduction. So one of the things that we want to do is talk to you about some of the use cases. And the first one we wanted to explore was business writing. So Mike, can you talk to us about just some of the ways that you have personally used it for your practical hands-on business writing approaches, and what did that do for you? What did that do for you in terms of your ability to get the job done?
Yeah, so it's just made writing a lot easier, especially technical writing. For instance, I had a presentation I had to give on ArcGIS Pro. It's a program that I use all the time for my job, and I was presenting it to people with kind of a varied background of some were pro, some weren't. And so I needed some kind of baseline definitions for things and some explanations on different concepts and things of that nature. And I had a decent deadline, but ChatGPT was able to kind of super speed up the process. And, you know, I asked it to give me kind of a definition. Actually, I have one of the old chats here. You know, what information should a lesson ArcGIS Pro contain? And it kind of gave me some basic kind of breakdown here.
You said that real fast. What was the question? What was the prompt?
What information should a lesson on ArcGIS Pro project contain?
Okay.
So it even helped me to ideate kind of the structure of the lesson that I was going to give him.
All right.
And then I had it explain, you know, different segments of the program.
Okay.
Define a feature class, explain a notifications tab. And it kind of gave me a lot of really in-depth text here. And I was able to keep working on that. And, you know, I had to make it 3 sentences, make it a little bit simpler, a lighter tone, a more friendly tone, and kind of really get down to exactly what I needed for my presentation.
Okay, great.
And
go ahead.
I've also used it for some resume writing as well.
Okay, how did you use it in that way?
I just told it to where I have it up here somewhere. Can't find it. Write 4 resume points for a position as owner of a GIS company. It's pretty accurate. I mean, these are things that I do. And so I was just able to kind of edit it a little bit, you know, for my own personal preferences, and I'll regenerate the response.
Okay.
And so if you don't like what it gives you, you can always kind of have it regenerate the response, and you see live action, it just kind of you know, pulls up some simple answers here. And from there, you can, like I said, you can have it change the response and give it some other context. Yeah, so it's been really helpful for writing and saved me a lot of time in those regards.
Well, I just think number one, kind of going back to the artist side of you, thinking about the way you want to get the most out of this resource is there's a lot of kind of just experimentation, and then you get kind of an initial version, right? So you put an initial draft on paper, or I would say in your case photography, right? And then it's going back to the editing room and adding, subtracting, changing things around until you get the response that you need. And I would say, from my experience using ChatGPT and just from others that I've read, that is super important to know. Is that you might have to work with it. It's like, again, if you have an employee and you're asking an employee to put together some talking points for you, and they give you like the first draft, you are going to have a different points in time feedback.
Yeah,
you get what you need. And so I would say looking at using ChatGPT in that same way.
Yeah, think of it as an employee that has a vast and immediate access to every corner of the internet.
Okay.
And it has like 5 PhDs in writing.
Okay, good point. And so think if you used it to create a resume, I could think of it being used for a cover letter for a proposal, a bio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for thinking about a business application. So I know you write a lot of grants.
Yes.
You've been successful at receiving a lot of grants. Have you used ChatGPT yet to help you to kind of get started with the grant application, and if not, in what way could you see you using it to make that process faster?
Not yet, but it's definitely in the plans. So, for instance, I'll open up this session again, and I'll maybe, like I said, you can give it context. So, sometimes you can give it a prompt like, hey, you can talk. I like to be nice to it in case it becomes our robot overlords. So I say, hey, can you please help me write? And if you make a typo, it'll understand, right? A grant. Sure, I can help you with grant writing process. However, writing a grant is complex task. Can you please give me more details about the grant you want to write? What is the project about? What is the funding agency? And what are the requirements for the grant proposal? Wow. So it's already kind of understand some of the key points and kind of context that it needs in order to write the grant.
Okay.
So I can give it a question, and
you can actually cut and paste the whole eligibility kind of like, or grant criteria.
Yeah.
Into this section.
Probably could. I wish I had a grant kind of in my head to pull up. But let's just say this is a grant. Let's do something. Art is easy to think about.
Okay.
Well, let's do a small business for a minority small business company that can provide value to its community in terms of education and job creation. My company makes peanut butter, and we are looking to hire X topics. Please write a response on how us winning the grant will benefit our community.
So your company, you're a minority or new majority owned?
I'm a peanut maker that hires ex-convicts. Peanut butter maker hires ex-convicts.
Okay.
Shouts out to George Washington Carver.
Washington Carver.
Sure. Here's a sample response on how your peanut butter company winning the grant will benefit your community. winning this grant will have a significant impact on our peanut butter company. And more importantly, on our community. Our company is committed to creating job opportunities for ex-convicts, and this grant will allow us to expand our operations and hire more individuals who are looking for a second chance in life. By providing employment opportunities for ex-convicts, we're helping them to reintegrate into society and become productive members of our community. In addition to job creation, our peanut butter company is also committed to promoting education. We believe that education is the key to personal and professional growth. We want to provide opportunities for employees to learn and develop new skills. With this grant, we will be able to offer training and education programs to our employees, which not only benefit them, but also contribute to the growth of our community. Furthermore, our company is dedicated to using locally sourced ingredients and supporting other small businesses in our community. We believe in the power of community and supporting one another.
That was a good one. That was a good add-in.
I mean, this thing is clever. Well, allow us to continue to do so. Overall, winning this grant will benefit our community in several ways, including blah, 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 and it kind of reiterates it there.
Now, can you ask it like a refining question?
Yes. And you please write that response in 4 sentences and in the style of Shakespeare.
Okay. You should have said James Baldwin.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
I mean, that'll be a little bit harder for.
I know, but we'll see, right? A lot of, again, this is the big part of big thing for us to know is that it's about experimentation and tinkering.
James Baldwin didn't necessarily do a lot of grant writing.
Okay.
We are fostering growth of community. As members, we are committed to promoting education, supporting other small businesses in our community. This grant will allow us to continue this mission. So yeah, let's say there was a certain cap in terms of words that you could have. This shortens it significantly. Yeah.
So back to that point about James Baldwin. So one of the ways that this is what makes this technology controversial and inadequate at times is that I would say it's not always culturally competent.
Right.
Because the way that it gets its information, it's coming from primarily probably white guys in Silicon Valley, Mike? Would you say?
I mean, I think the
data sets that it's getting.
Yeah, the data sets are definitely being created by white guys in Silicon Valley and elsewhere. And I mean, yes, pulling from the internet. So a lot of these, journalist companies, forums, blogs, are written by white people or around kind of topics that are of the majority, in the US at least, or in English speaking places. Mm-hmm. But I would be interested to see what it would do with other languages.
Yeah, I think it can do. I think it can provide, and I know they're definitely looking to add more languages to it. But I would say, because James Baldwin, Shakespeare didn't write grants either, right? So it's like, but they knew how to. There's
probably a lot more Shakespeare content on the internet that it can pull from.
So, given that who our audience is at Get the Bag, just thinking about that in terms of maybe the limitations of the type of information you might get or responses that you might get. And I would say I would never use all of the, the exact language that I might get from a Chat-GPT or even the exact results, but it gives me a head start.
Right.
So there's a lot of misinformation, information that's not fully accurate, information that's been plagiarized from other sources. So that is just something for you to know. That's one of the limitations of this technology as it exists today.
Yeah, you got to think about most of these AI technologies are dependent on tons of data and information, right? And they're pulling that from a lot of what's available on the internet. So you got to, when you're having these prompts in mind, you got to kind of think about what's out there or maybe even what particular corner of the internet that you're trying to pull from. Mm-hmm. And that has to inform your prompts.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you. All right, so what is it we say? What was the other category? We talked about we gave some examples of business writing, research.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is if, entrepreneur, you're always researching, I'm trying to understand what's happening with your competition, trying to understand what's happening in your market or in a market that you're interested in. Who are your prospective customers? You might have some, market sizing questions for your pitch deck or your executive summary. So research is something that you should always be doing as a business owner. So what are you going to do for us on the research side, Mike?
Let's see. Maybe we can do some competitor analysis.
Okay.
Let's see. Please describe. We'll stick with the peanut butter company.
Okay.
Please describe the top 3 competitors.
And why don't you give us kind of a more specific competitor?
I will.
Yeah.
And peanut butter companies that are focused in direct to consumer online sales.
And then, add conduct your research as though you were an expert.
Yes, ChatGPT can take on many personalities.
So I think that also when you ask it you have to ask it kind of like, what hat are you wearing when you're going to the internet and looking through the internet or your database and looking for this. And so when you ask it to think like an expert, think like a consultant, my understanding is that the results that you get are more robust. So that's why I asked for that addition. This is a good way too, right? To number one, test your knowledge of who you think your competitors are with the results that you get from ChatGPT. I think that would give you a sense as to what it's capable of. And there may be new competitors that you didn't know that existed as well.
Okay, so that was interesting.
What
Big Spoon Roasters based in Durham offers handcrafted nut butters made from carefully sourced natural ingredients. It gives me some information on the product line. They have a robust online store and offer a subscription service. Wild Friend Foods have a variety of flavors. Have active online presence with a well-designed e-commerce store and a strong social media presence. Yum Butter. Okay, so now I'm going to ask it, please sort this information into an Excel table.
Wow. So if you don't know how to use Excel, and there are a lot of business owners that are not familiar with a lot of the software tools that many of us take for granted, or create tables, or you're not, great with some of these Microsoft or Google applications, you can just ask ChatGPT to put the information in that format. Or you didn't, Michael said Excel, you could ask it to put it in a table.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that was interesting. So maybe we can go. Oh, nice, like that one, Bernard. Okay, so now let's look up. Can you provide funding opportunities?
Oh, that's a good one.
Let's
get this peanut butter bag
for Ohio-based.
Ooh.
Minority small businesses. That, let's see, make under 100,000 in revenue.
Wow. Okay, this will be interesting.
And format that information into an Excel table with 4 columns.
And you didn't give it any, you didn't even give it the directions on instructions on how to name the columns.
No, I just came up with it myself.
Yeah, but you can do that.
But I can.
Yeah.
Please add a column for contact information. So as you can see, this is, I mean, hiring somebody to do this work, let's say that it was can be expensive. So right here, you have an employee that you can get the best version of for $20 a month. And of course, all this information is not going to be perfect. It's going to need some vetting. You're going to want to make sure that it is subject to, quote, hallucinations, where it just makes stuff up. So you have to be mindful of that. But this is definitely something that you don't want to not be using as a business, because you will get left behind. I think it's I think it's a good idea to think about it less as it taking away jobs, which it certainly will, but more about it, how can it allow for your company to do more than it ever could before with the resources that you previously had.
Yeah, I would say it's like a starting point, like, right? Because the information is definitely, as we saw with the James Baldwin example, it's not comprehensive, but it can get you started, right? And helping you to understand and like, how can you actually, if, say, for example, if you brought someone on, say a graphic designer, to do some work, and a lot of it, you have to spend time kind of ideating, thinking about what you want, and then you go back and forth with the graphic designer. No, I didn't like that. I, wanted it to have, less of this color. You can do some of that on your own. And Michael's going to go into some of the kind of more design focused applications for this. And then you are giving the graphic designer something. Your time spent with the graphic designer can be spent on higher level work, right? Because the graphic designer has a lot of information. There's a lot of background information that goes into how they do things. They have their own style and experiences, but you're kind of hacking the process, maybe saving some of the time that you're spending, that upfront ideation time and communication time with the graphic designer, and giving them something that's more in alignment with where you want them to go with the project.
Yeah.
Right. So from that perspective, I definitely don't want anyone to lose their job or even have their business be put at risk. And so this is where you say, if you are a graphic designer and you're seeing this, it's got to be terrifying, right? Because it can potentially put you out of business. So you need to know that this exists, right? And you need to be able to articulate why someone should still pay you to work with them, right? And your value proposition. And now that you also have these tools at your disposal. So instead of all of the time you were spending your very expensive college degree money on just kind of with this ideation process, you can spend even more time doing more creative, more impactful work. You can put more time into understanding the customer's target market and demographic and what their goals are, and spend more time on higher level pursuits. So I think that's how, because really for many of our businesses, that is one of the reasons that people are asking people to slow down on this, because this is threatening to everyone's livelihood, right? So number one, we need to be familiar with what it can do so that we can be more involved and proactive about legislation and also, managing our jobs and our businesses. But we can also, from an innovation perspective, think about, wow, I'm a graphic designer. I'm a solo graphic designer. Now I might be able to bring somebody else on, right? So this, again, back to kind of thinking of tech as the new bag, because we can now we can offload some of the lower level work of being a graphic designer and provide even greater value for our clients. So anything else to add to that, Mike?
No, yeah, I think you covered it pretty well.
All right, yeah, so that's the other thing. You can give ChatGPT like very specific instructions in terms of how you want the information to be presented, right? And then in the case of content, and if you check out our blog post, our most recent blog post on the Get the Bag website, I have a blog post where I shared some resources and some videos of some people that I think are using this ChatGPT in creative and innovative ways. But you can take kind of like the table and then you can upload it into, say, for example, if you're designing some social media posts, you can take this information, upload it into Canva, and then have Canva create designs based upon like this information. So it's really the sky's the limit. Like, so Mike, you want to go to the next use case, which is content
Yes.
design?
Like the art.
Yeah.
Let's try to make it. So here's something that I did personally. I was working on a proposal for a development in Chicago, and we needed kind of a quick ideation on what we're looking for. It's kind of like the idea was like a park.
And what is this? What is this? Right.
Let me jump the gun here. This is Dolly. So this is an image synthesis platform, and where you can type in anything that you imagine, and it generates the image for it. And I've used this for logo creation, ideation around ideas, and then the specific one I wanted to kind of come up with a rendering for like a park, like what a park could look like. With some kind of specific words.
And you can access DALL-E through open.
Yeah, it's through the same people. Now, DALL-E to me it's not my favorite, but they probably sourced a lot of their information in the most ethical way. Whereas the other one that will be showing you that's a lot more detailed and comes up with better images has some kind of ethical dilemmas, and artists were saying that their work was kind of stolen essentially in order to feed it to the beast and create these kind of algorithms that can come up with such vivid and interesting imagery.
Okay. How did you get started with that design that you?
So I might start off with something like very simple. So I think this is the first one that I had was rain garden on Chicago vacant lot for managing stormwater, full of flowers with benches and stage. And then kind of towards the end, I'll give it kind of the direction in terms of architect drawing. And so it's going to pull from all of the images on the internet that have kind of architectural drawings. And I just kind of ideated through that. Same thing. I added a performance area. Music stage, benches, and concert, and you just kind of keep adding to it and taking things away, and eventually you kind of arrive. It's an iterative process, and eventually you arrive at something, that you might have had it inside of your brain. So, for instance, we could use something very simple. Would be peanut butter. Brand logo. I'm keeping up with that concept. Peanut butter brand logo. I'll say modern flat. And so you see it's loading, and it kind of gives you an example. Astronaut lounging in a tropical resort in space. Pixel art. So these new programs aren't very good at text. They are working on that.
I've noticed that too.
Butter, but it does actually give you some kind of interesting font types that you can
Ah,
give to a graphic designer and have them
yeah.
kind of, iterate on that. Modern logo flat, we'll say peanut butter land logo with smiley face.
Mm.
Kind of way in which you can iterate on top of your ideas.
Yeah, and pay attention to these little diagrams that pop up because it gives you ideas of like how the descriptions you can use. Ah.
So now we have a little creepy smiley face. So that's DALL-E. And this is made by the same people, OpenAI. Now, it's kind of a more advanced version. And this is like, so much going on. You have to interact with it through Discord, which is challenging in itself. But you're going to get a lot better of inputs here.
And what is the name of this platform?
This one is called Midjourney.
Okay.
MIDJOURNEY. And it's interesting how it works because it's happening in like basically a chat room. And so you're seeing people from all over the world, coming up with ideas. Someone's trying to create a poster design for a zoo. And you kind of see them iterating through the idea.
You're doing this live? You can do this. Can you is there a private version of Midjourney?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe if you pay enough, you can get a private version.
Okay. So it's your crowdsourcing a design.
Not necessarily. It's just you're just in a room with a bunch of other people that are also doing these prompts.
Okay.
And it'll give you some kind of it's a learning experience because you see this person is making some kind of house image and you can see what they're putting in. High quality DSLR photo of a castle like villa, blah, blah. And, you can kind of see some of the tricks that these people are using. In order to get really high quality outputs.
They're prompts.
And high quality prompts.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you'll take from them and then you will make some stuff and you'll see people taking from your prompts and coming up with stuff together. So,
okay.
Yeah, it is interesting in that regard.
So there's a risk though that someone else might use this image that you've also used.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure there probably are higher kind of tiers.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can kind of get your own thing.
That looks like a sticker. Did someone create a sticker?
Yeah, cute stickers of a cat with flowers.
So again, just thinking about like from a merch perspective, the possibilities of what created.
So first thing you gotta do is /imagine. And then now let's do peanut butter logo with smiley face. I'm gonna do the exact same prompt that I put into the other one.
Okay.
See what it comes up with. So it's waiting to start. See, this person's still iterating through their house idea, their house on the beach.
Okay. So again, back to the point of being very descriptive.
Yeah. And see, a high quality DSLR photo.
Yeah, that's
now it's pulling from all of the DSLR photos that are out there. And so, yeah, you can see this is a lot better than these kind of crappy ones right here.
Okay.
And a lot of different iterations. And let's say that I really like the one on the bottom left.
Space, yeah.
I can hit V3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. V3. And it'll give me more iterations of that particular image.
Okay.
So I was waiting to start here. Yeah, you can pay to get these things faster, and
okay,
there's different tiers. But I think recently they canceled this for free users because people were abusing it.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone saw the Trump getting arrested photos or the Pope with the cover jacket, those were created using Mid Journey.
Yeah. So you see, it kind of gave me some different versions that are very similar of that
Okay.
first one that I liked.
Yeah.
And then if I like one of these in particular, I can hit UI, and it'll give me like a high def version of it
Oh, okay.
that I could use. That
hmm
it's going to be a little bit more fine tuned and probably a bigger size.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is an example of getting something started that you can then take to a graphic designer to refine, or if you use Fiverr or Upwork, work with graphic designers on that platform.
yeah.
Yeah, you can. It's just a great way to, particularly with Fiverr, because you have a lot of people, international people, and sometimes the communication may not be, as great because we're typically not, we know one language in the United States. So having that visual can give them, be a faster way to give them the direction.
Yeah. So just go to midjourney.com and let's see, how do you start this thing? This has some documentation on how to use it, but
Okay.
I think you can just probably join the beta.
Is there a wait list for Midjourney?
I'm not sure. So this automatically invited me. You have to create a Discord first.
So you have to go to create a Discord. You don't have to join anybody else's Discord.
No, you're going to join first. You create a Discord account.
Okay.
What you would do,
Yeah.
do Discord. Open Discord and create it. I've had my Discord for a while. And then you're going to accept the invite. And you're going to want to get into one of these rooms where people are creating things.
Do you have any advice? When you're looking for a room to join, what criteria do you use?
I use any room.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes people are making like weird stuff, so I'll leave the room.
Okay.
And it's like killing the vibe.
Okay.
See some other stuff.
And that.
See, look, she took her picture.
Okay.
It's a real person.
It looked like a real person.
And then Avatar, anime, manga, Morocco. And it came up with something pretty cool, honestly.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That is pretty cool.
So yeah, you can actually put in your own images into here. And
yeah, I could see this being used for like a graphic novel.
Yeah, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Only part is it can be a little bit unpredictable in like what it's creating. So sometimes it's hard. Like let's say you had a character and you're trying to continue that same character throughout the lifetime of your story.
Okay.
It might put little tweaks on the character
I see.
that you don't have perfect control over. But I've seen people kind of keep a semblance of the same character throughout time.
No, you were saying that you were thinking about like canceling one of your stock photos.
Yeah. Because I pay for this, and so I have something that has a bunch of stock. It also has stock video, and they're working on text to video now, but that's not as refined.
Okay,
that's not as refined as this is.
Currently. What about things like a wireframe for like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I could say
like prototypes.
Prototype for, let me see, I'll say UX design for peanut delivery application.
Okay.
iOS. Okay. Let's see what it comes up with. iOS, and then I'm gonna add Figma. Figma is where you create, where you can easily create mock-ups for designs.
Okay. They were just bought by Adobe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a Canva for professional designers.
Yeah, for designing interfaces for like web design or mobile application design.
Okay.
It's like a Canva for that.
Yeah.
So waiting to start. We just kind of wait.
Any other use cases from a business perspective of Midjourney? Oh, wow. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So if I knew more kind of keywords to kind of get it to where I wanted it to, I could probably get it to look a little different, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a website.
Yeah. So what is the deal with the person? I read an article of someone writing an ideal on a napkin, getting it into ChatGPT, and it created a website based upon that, just those few words. What?
Yeah. So that goes into like the whole coding aspect of ChatGPT 3.
Okay.
And so that's definitely something. Let's look at maybe sample JavaScript code. So this is coming up with a JavaScript. Let's use pop-up message using events. We'll just use this.
Yeah, and JavaScript is a code.
Yeah, JavaScript is a coding language. So we'll go back to ChatGPT. Here's the modern homepage for artisanal plant selling website.
Nice.
So this is what it came up with.
Wow. Now, how do you get that onto your homepage? Like actually onto an actual website?
Now they're starting to create like applications that you can just type this in and it'll code the whole thing.
Okay. Wow. Crazy.
I don't know one offhand right now.
Okay.
But you can give this to a developer and they can kind of take it from there and use this as inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. To that point, right? I've seen a lot of founders spend way too much money on developers way earlier than they should. But even from that perspective, and not really understanding why the developer is charging them what they're charging them. This is another useful way to use these tools, is that there's a lot of pre-work you can do yourself. I would even say from a ChatGPT, I mean, that's a question you could ask it to help to inform your selection of a developer, or even if it's too early for you to need a developer at if you're super early in your startup journey.
Yeah. So you can see I asked, can you explain this code? And I copy and pasted some code.
Yeah.
I got from this website here. And this code generates a multiplication table based on the user's input. For the number of rows and columns, it first prompts the user to enter the number of rows and columns they want in the table. The user does not enter anything or clicks cancel the default value for both if the blah blah. Code calls the function.
So it translates the code into like the English language.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, I mean, I've used it to explain code and then kind of give me an idea. It'll take the same code base and it can add functions and different features to the code. And I might get an error and I can ask it to ask why I'm getting this error and to solve the error. And it's a good tool, for coders or anyone just trying to, maybe you have a website and you're trying to figure it out and do some custom coding to it. You can take some of that code and drop it in there. Let's see. Let's give it. Can you write a JavaScript React based website for our shop? So React is a framework for JavaScript, which is code. So you see it's creating a menu here. It's the header.
Okay. So this is behind the scenes of a website.
Yeah.
And then you can give, what do you do once you get this code? You give that to, like, what do you do with this? I'm not a coder, as you can tell.
You would have to host it somewhere.
Okay. But how would you, if you're the average business owner that knew nothing about websites or coding, you're just using your Wix or WordPress, how would you use this in that situation?
The coding, I mean, for the average user, you might not necessarily have to use this. Maybe if you're using WordPress and you had some kind of error that you wanted to try to do yourself.
Okay.
You can ask it to give you some help.
Okay.
But to be honest, you need to know about code in order to use this as a good tool for code. Just as like if you want to know about, it helps to have more, like when I was trying to create the image for the UX, UI for that peanut butter website.
Yeah.
The more I was able to know about the different keywords and the different attributes, the more specific and the better I can talk to these AI programs.
Yeah.
And so that goes with anything. If you're trying to do SEO, it's important that you know basic SEO principles. And you can ask it to explain. ChatGPT also is a great mentor, and you can ask it to explain things to you and to, just kind of have a dialogue with it, trying to understand different concepts. But also, like I said, it can come up. It can't just make stuff up sometimes. So,
that's why I want to iterate.
Solely.
Yeah, that's why I want to iterate that. Again, if you're not a subject matter expert, it can be a great way to get you started in your work with a subject matter expert, right? So, because there are a lot of, I know I asked my VA to help me to create some content. I just asked her about her experience with ChatGPT, and this is a couple of weeks ago, which is kind of early. Like that's kind of a long time ago in ChatGPT development speak. But she said it was just, number one, giving her a lot of kind of jumbled language, or you could tell that it was obviously plagiarizing from someone. So that is the word of caution as it relates to using this technology, is that particularly if you're using it in business where accuracy is going to be important, is that you want to either be a subject matter expert yourself or use it to communicate more effectively and efficiently with a subject matter expert. Or you can become, to Michael's point, become a subject matter expert by using the explanation feature. So, all right. Well, Mike, is there anything else for this part as it relates to the demo that you want to show us before we go into just maybe sharing some of the what you need to knows?
I think I'll be open to questions, or if anyone wants me to throw anything in there for it, I'm open to that.
All right. Doesn't look like I asked people if they wanted to do that. They could post their questions. I don't see that. So I'm going to take you off of this screen share and then go back to the presentation. So again, just as to review, ChatGPT use cases, business writing, graphic design, problem solving, research, and content creation. So we walked through some of those. We even walked through some coding examples. But let's talk about some of the things that you need to know, that you want to be mindful of. So copyright issues, we talked about that. If you're an artist, if you're a designer, even if you have content, you're a writer, your content could get caught up in this. So there's, this is a wild, wild west, a lot of new territory. So there are some legislators that are kind of exploring this and how to handle this situation. I think there's some artists that have sued OpenAI because they could see where their content was being used. So just use caution when vetting the content that you get from this, or even the images. Security, If you're a business owner and you have other team members or maybe 1099s you're working with, make sure that they're not putting your data and your confidential information into ChatGPT to kind of hack their way to getting answers, because this information is stored. We don't know where it's stored, who has access to it, and it can be hacked. So that's from you may not even be using it. All the more reason you need to be familiar with it is, but your employees might be using it, and you need to make sure that you have communications in place with them and some kind of policy in place with them to let them know to not use your information that way. Accuracy, we've talked about that. Data privacy, do not put your confidential information in these, like the one woman who put her photo in there, like, because number one, this is all of that is now going to be owned by the platforms that you've given it to. So be very mindful of, like, one person like uploaded her diary into Chat GPT and has been using it as a therapist. So people are using it for those kind of purposes, but like just know the consequences of that. And then finally is that this is a disruptive technology. It can be disruptive in a good way, right? In terms of helping you to, and we're in a super tight funding environment, for Black and Brown founders, funding has always been a challenge, right? But again, we usually need funding because we need to get things done. So this is a hack. This is a way to get things done with saving money, maybe not spending money, but also getting like significant, much more work done. So it can be disruptive in a good way. And then it can be disruptive in a very negative way as well too, which all of that is unraveling in real time with us right now. So just some things that we can't afford to not know and not be involved with, regardless of how we feel about it, right? Because it's going to affect us one way or the other. Anything that you have to add to this, Mike?
No, I would just say, be creative. The sky is the limit. It's certainly going to be disruptive. And so that's why you need to, try to stay ahead, or to work with somebody that's staying ahead, so that you can kind of implement these workflows into your own business. And that you can, I use it for pretty much everything I do. As long as I can do it securely. Mm-hmm. So definitely use it in your workflows. And even if it's just playing around with it or using it to help you ideate some things, that's a great way. Like, let's say you don't want to, take what it's giving you as verbatim. It's great just to ideate and to kind of get some unique approaches to whatever problems you're having or whatever questions you're having. It's another tool. It's here to stay, and so try to get the most of it, or enable someone in your team to get the most of it if it's not necessarily your forte.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mike. This was very helpful. We appreciated you taking some of the mystery out of the use cases for this, and walking through the demos and sharing how you use it. If you want to work more closely with Micheal, taking a deeper dive, developing something that's customized for your use, on a paid basis, of course, I've provided his contact information there. He is, I think, tagged on the LinkedIn promo. His IG is at Mike B Loves You. We've got the email address here, and his on the artistic side, Apothecary Grove. You can follow him and follow his artistic endeavors there as well. And thank you, right? Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to the Get the Bag YouTube channel. Follow us on LinkedIn. We have a Get the Bag LLC page, Get the Bag gifting page. And I also have another business, GTD Advisors. Please follow that. Subscribe to our newsletter. You can get access to that through our website. And buy a gift box. We feature products and services that support Black women entrepreneurs and other BIPOC entrepreneurs, but primary focus is Black women entrepreneurs, helping them to get the bag, to grow their revenue, and grow their businesses faster. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Vern, and everyone else on this. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Bernard.
You, Mike.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.